All right, I'm sorry about that. So I was just saying, we are going to go through this guide because I want to make sure that everything is okay in the guide. Um, this guide basically takes you from a normal Windows computer to a mobile development lab. Now, I'm using Windows because I know most of my students are using Windows, but the basic principles or the steps are as the same, regardless of the operating system you are using. So, now, what tools do we need to check or do we need to have if we want to develop mobile apps on our laptops? So the first tool we need to have is Git. For obvious reasons, we need Git for version control. I'm trying to shift between the live session. KJ, you are almost late by a few minutes, but glad to have you here. Infinitech Solutions. I see you, Emmanuel Kiprotich. I can't hear you. What are you saying? Yeah, I think I have fixed the audio issue. Steve Ryan. How many Steves do we have? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm looking for Betty. Anybody seen Betty? There's one other person, Desmond. Where is Desmond? I don't see Desmond here. Bravin Mungagasta, glad to have you. Desmond, Betty, I don't see those people. I can't remember anybody else. But yeah, so our tutorial, since we have limited time, we have to make the tutorial simple and straight to the point. So we've said we have steps. So step number 1 will be tooling. Step number 2 will be maybe creating project, and so on and so forth. We can have as many steps as we want, but for now that is what you're doing. So we've said you need Git. That is the first tool you need for version control, because you should always version control your code. All right, so once you confirm Git is installed, the other thing we need is what you call a package manager for Windows. Okay, so you can, if you're on Linux, you can use apt. If you're on Mac, you can use, what is it they use on Mac? I have forgotten what they use on Mac. Whatever package manager you prefer. So in our case on Windows, we are going to use Chocolate. I don't even know why they chose that name. Anyway, yeah, we're going to use Chocolate or Chocolate. And then we also need Visual Studio Code, because we need somewhere to write our code. You can choose whatever tool you want here. You can even edit your code using another tool we look at, which is VS Code. But kindly, you have said on Linux we use apt. Like, let me just show you here. I have a Linux VM, I think. Oh my goodness, why are you taking ages? Is it because I'm running another virtual machine here, so that's why it's taking longer? But yeah, on Windows you use, on Linux you use apt. I think I will write another guide for folks on Linux later. So we need Visual Studio Code. Auto record here live. Breathe Fire Grace. Yes, this session will remain on YouTube, so you can watch it later. Visual Studio Code. What else do we need? We need to confirm we have the Windows terminal. Windows terminal. All right, anything else we have forgotten? So these are the tooling. Okay, this is the, I've forgotten what term to use. So I will put another step here, and this is the Java layer. Why do we need a Java layer? We need a Java layer because Android build system, whatever that tool that takes your code and packages it into like a .apk file that you can install on your phone, runs on Java. It's called Gradle, and it runs on Java. So that is why we need to configure the Java layer. So in the Java layer, what tools do we need? So I can just copy this. So number one, we need a tool called JDK, and JDK stands for Java Development Kit. Java Development Kit. So this will configure what we call JDK, and basically allow us to run JavaScript code in our computers. What else am I forgetting? I'm trying to see if I've forgotten anything. All right, so once we are done with the Java layer, we need to install Android SDK. Actually, I can put this inside the Java layer because I think it's Android SDK. And Android SDK is basically Android Software Development Kit. It gives you the platform you need to work with Android, basically. So if you want to switch on the camera, if you want to access the storage, you need to use the Android SDK tool. I will also look at how to do that. Once we are done, we now move to the how can I call this? Emulator. Let me just say the emulator. Emulator. So at the emulator stage, we want to install Android Studio. Of course, let me see. Have I added Android Studio here? Android SDK. So let's just add it as part of the tooling at the top. Tooling Android Studio. Right? Android Studio. So the emulator, basically we want to have a tool that can show us how the app will look like once we launch it. So when you're developing a website, all you need to do is just run your project in the browser and you will see everything working. But for mobile devices, we need to have, let me see if I have a photo here. I think I had downloaded a photo earlier. Had I? Yeah, a photo like this one. So this is what we call an emulator. It's just more like a small phone running on your computer. So here we have the Android emulator, or we can use a physical device, and the physical device has to have development mode turned on and also USB debugging turned on. So if your laptop does not have enough RAM, instead of using an emulator, you can just connect your physical phone to your laptop and use your physical phone as an emulator, so that you can see as you develop, you can see the things happening. I'm trying to look for a cable so that I can also show you guys how the physical emulator works, but I'll do that once we get there. So once we are done, now we move to the application layer. This is step 1, step 2, this is step 3, and then we move to step 4. Yeah, you can use Android Studio. It's what I'm referring to as Android emulator. So here I can say through Android Studio. Sorry? Yeah, sure. What happened to 3-in-1? Yeah, do that instead. All right, so so once you're done with the emulator, we can now go to the application layer. So I can just say application layer. These names are not official, they're not formal. I'm just using them because I don't have any better vocabulary to use. So application layer is when we install what you call Flutter and run a sample application. Yes. All right, so these are the steps you're going to do, divided into 4 steps. Does anybody have any questions before I continue? So step number 1 is the tooling. We want to make sure we have the correct tools. Step number 2 is the Java layer. We have to configure all these so that we can have the API to Android operating system. And then we have the emulator layer, where we want to have a device that can show us, what you're doing, the changes and whatnot. And then now after that, we can go ahead and run our Flutter application. All right, so let me see. Okay. All right, so some of these steps I'll try to just skim through, because I already have everything configured on my laptop, and setting them up is not that complex. So I'll just skim through, and then we move to the demos part. For a perfect running Android Studio, let's just have a look at what the requirements are. Yeah, I was trying to research when to use SOAP in my previous classes. So let me just do Android Studio system requirements. So Android Studio requires 8 GB of RAM. This 8 GB is a lie, because with 8 GB your computer will really struggle. 16 GB is the minimum. So if you can have 16 GB, you're good to go. Disk space is not really that much of a struggle. So on Windows, we want these, blah, blah. So basically, if you have 16 GB, you're safe. And my personal preference is a desktop, because I think I've said this in my previous classes. If the money allows it, just go for a desktop, get your monitors, and then upgrade your desktop, because my desktop has 4 slots of RAM. So far I'm only using 3, 116, 288 GB. So I have one more left. If I get 16 GB of RAM, I can just slot it in there and boost my RAM. But for a laptop, like the laptop I'm using for the recording, okay, I'm using this laptop, but the demos I'm doing on this desktop. So the laptop I'm using has 16 GB of RAM, but that's the most it can take. It cannot take any more RAM. There's no space to add more RAM. Although there are some laptops which come with extra slots to add RAM. But there's only so much RAM you can add. You cannot upgrade your CPU. But for desktop, you can upgrade your CPU. You can just buy another CPU. Yeah. Anyway, so let's proceed. I have a new version of Windows here. Oh my goodness. So I'm trying to use Windows, in a virtual box. Because some of the tools I don't want to show you guys because they're already installed. So we're just going to try and install them afresh. If that fails, we'll shift back to where they are already installed. Okay. While that's happening, we can go ahead and confirm if we have the tools. So let me just minimize this. I'm gonna. All right. So step 1, again, if you get lost, just go to the written version. I'm going to share a link down in the comments. Eugene, I see you. So just go to that link. There's a written version there, which might be a little bit more detailed. So let's confirm if we have these tools. So number 1, you'll confirm if Git is installed. So you can just do Git version and you get this. This means Git is installed. If it's not installed, it means you skipped one of our classes way back, because we talked about that. Package manager, which is Chocolate. So let's confirm if Chocolate is installed. So we'll do Choco, and then we'll do version. Choco is not recognized as an internal or external command. So let's go ahead and install Chocolate. So to install Chocolate, you'll need to use the PowerShell, and I'll just go here, I'll say PowerShell, and I need it to run as an administrator. So I'll say run as administrator. And then we have something that looks like this. So the command to install Choco is in the blog, in the chapter. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it here, and then hit enter. Choco was found in, so of course in my case Choco is already installed, but in your case, if it's not installed, just proceed with the steps. Pick the default values. So to confirm Choco is indeed installed, right here, cmd. Oh, it's frozen, it's frozen. Oh my goodness. It is frozen. Okay, you're not going to waste any more time with this, so let me just shift to. Alright, so let's go ahead and install Choco here. So I'm going to type PowerShell, and I want to run it as an administrator. And then once here, I'm going to copy this command and paste it here. Did I paste the correct command? Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So let's go ahead and install it. It's going to take some time because it's quite big. Let's proceed. So what else do we need? We need to have Visual Studio Code. Again, we looked at how to install Visual Studio Code in class number 3, I think. You can go ahead and watch if you're having trouble. But to install Visual Studio Code, all you need to do is to download the installer. So Visual Studio Code. I'm pretty sure all of you have already installed Visual Studio Code, but for those who haven't, let me just clarify. So just go download Visual Studio Code. Once you download, just click on it and install it. Tool number 4 is Windows Terminal. So Windows Terminal is this one. It's a little bit different from CMD. So if I come here and open CMD, okay, this is terminal. I want CMD. Oh, I've configured mine so it doesn't open CMD, but it opens a terminal. So CMD normally opens one window like so. So if you want to shift between windows, it will be hard. But terminal, like if I go here, I can use git bash, which allows me to type Linux commands on Windows. I can open my Ubuntu virtual VM. Alright, so if somebody is wondering how I'm able to do this, I'm using WSL. It's called WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. You can just download it and have a look around. So let's see. Is this thing installing? I don't think this is installing. Okay, so remember here I've mentioned Chocolate, but you can also get away with Wingate, right? So if you already have Wingate, you just have to change the Choco commands to Wingate and you're good to go. So let's see if this is installed. So we'll say Choco version. Yes, and now we have Choco installed. So after that, Visual Studio Code, again I've shown you how to install it, Windows Terminal, and then finally the Android Studio. So to install Android Studio, you just go to their website. Excuse me. Android Studio. This one right here. And then you download. So once you download, it will just download as a normal Windows software, .exe software. So once you do that, you can just double click on it and install it. Since I already have it installed, I won't go through the entire process in the interest of time. But there are countless articles that tell you about the options, because at first you'll need to use the default options when you're installing. So you just click yes, 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 next, next, up to the end. So once you're done installing, you'll have Android Studio looking like this. Android Studio. Okay, this will be your Android Studio. We'll look at how to install an emulator in a second. All right, so after we've confirmed all these are installed, we move to the next step, which is the Java layer, and we want to install the JDK and Android SDK. Let me just, all right. So to do that, the quickest way you can do this is to use Choco command, this command right here. Okay, that did not work. About this, you use this command. All right. In my case, I already have Android SDK installed and JDK, so I wouldn't want to mess with those. But if you follow the guide, just copy this command and run it in your terminal. So after that is done, okay, I think I misconfigured my system. So after that is done, you can type Java version to confirm if you have Java installed. Once you do that, you also have to confirm one other thing, and that is Java home. Let me see if this command will work here. Java home. Oh, okay. What am I doing? So you also need to confirm this thing here is configured in your system. How you do that, let me show you. So you can come to the search bar here, you say variables, and then you click this edit system variables, and then inside here you're going to click on environment variables, and you're going to click on path. All right, and then you say edit. So once you do that, you have quite a few options in here. Let me see if I'm in the right folder. Is it the right folder? No, I don't think this is the environment variables. New, is it new? No. So this one was for Flutter. Wait, why am I confused? Python, Flutter. For some reason, I even have Choco installed here, but I was not able to run it. Why? Oh, no. Okay, I remember. Okay, I can't remember what I did with that variable, but you need to set the, let me see. Yeah. So if you go through the written documentation, I have explained it all to you in a way you can understand. I can't figure out where the variable I have to set it, but yeah. Anyway, so once you're done with the JDK, you also have to install the Android SDK. And if you get trouble, you can just go to any AI tool, like for example, oh man, I thought I was healing from this flu. Turns out I was not. Gemini, and then how to, oh my goodness, how to set up JDK on Windows. I thought I turned off capital letters. Alright, so you download the installer, install the JDK, configure environment variables. This is what I'm not getting right. I don't know what I'm missing. Under system variables, click new. Let me see. Was it something I was missing? System variables. System variables, you click new. Oh, you okay. Oh my goodness. And I was here. So you have to type the name, which is Java home. So you have to type that, and then you have to show the system where that executable will be. So in your case, if you installed Java like I've mentioned in the tutorial, what you will have is something like this. So this is what you'll have. All right, so that is done. So the next thing is to install the Android SDK. So you can again ask it how to set up. Let me just type in small letters. I don't like shouting. This is weird. Okay. Android SDK on Windows. Yeah, so Android Studio download page, blah blah. So when you install Android Studio, if you follow the steps I've shown, you will not need Android SDK. But I added it in the notes just to make sure you verify that you have Android SDK. Like I said, Android SDK will give you the APIs that you need to control the phone, like camera. When somebody is uploading a photo or a file, it gives you those tools. Yeah, so if you install Android Studio, I think Android SDK will be configured for you by default. All right, so we are done with the Java layer. Now let's go to the emulator. Emulator now is how we make that thing appear here. So like I've said, if your computer is a little bit lagging or it's slow, just use a physical device. But if you have a lot of RAM, you can use emulator. So let's go ahead. So remember we had opened Android Studio. So let me just go back again so that you understand. So I will come here, I will open Android Studio. Once it's opened, I will go to this. I'll click more actions, and then I will say virtual device manager. Now inside here, yours will be empty because you've not added any virtual devices, but mine has 3 virtual devices. So in your case, just click the plus icon, and then here you can choose the device that you want. Don't worry about anything for now, just choose anything, probably Pixel 7, Pixel 8. So let me just go with Pixel 6, and then on the left side here, you can change the emulator that you want. If you are building and testing for tablets, you can select the tablet. If you are building and testing for Wear OS, which is a watch, you can pick and choose. The same as desktop, the same as TV. If you're developing an app for TV, as a matter of fact, we haven't invented much in the TV space. You know, everybody is just online saying, I've built a POS, I've built a school management system. It will be interesting to see one of my students build an app for TV. You have automotive. If you're building for cars, you remember Android systems in cars, you can choose automotive, install the emulator. So for now, let's just say phone, and then we'll say next. Here you can pick everything as it is, don't change anything, say finish. Image size 2 GB, so it's going to download that image. Yeah, that's going to take a while, so I'm not going to do that, but in your case you can just proceed, give it time. So let me just cancel. So once it's done downloading, this is what you will see, and you'll see the name of the device that you have installed. So in my case, let me say I want to open Pixel 2, so I'll just say just click the play icon. Yeah, it's quite heavy. It is quite heavy. And Pixel 2 is open here. So it takes a minute to boot up. Let me see. Can I open all emulators at once? So I will also open this one, and I will open this one. Right? So the importance of having two emulators is when you are building an app, for example, for people living in cities, towns, the Kilimani area, you obviously don't want to go with Pixel 2. Who uses Pixel 2 there? Nobody. Okay, I'm just saying speculations. So you might want to go with an high-end device. So something like Pixel 10, something more advanced like these ones, because most people don't use these around those areas. No, Linux users are using the same things apart from the package manager. You'll still need the Android Studio. You'll still need to set up the Android SDK. So on Linux, just follow the steps, but for Linux. So I can run two virtual devices, sorry, but my CPU is going crazy. Yeah, I expected that. So let me just close this. And again, if you are building, like for example, if you're building an app like Uber, you might have two devices so that on one you are the driver, on the other you are the passenger. So let me just close this. Like so. So once you have the emulator, and like I've said, for the emulator, you can use your Android device or your phone. Just make sure you have turned on developer settings or developer mode, and you have enabled USB debugging. Of course, the steps are different for each phone, but you can Google your own the steps for your own phone. So we have the emulator here, and I have the source code for Soma Stories here. So assuming I want to work on Soma Stories and I want to change something, so I will have my emulator running here, and then I will have my code here. But first, before we look at how we can run our application, we need to find out what framework are we using to develop our application. So there are quite a lot of frameworks. Let me just open my browser. All right, so you can use a framework like Kotlin, as shown here. Kotlin programming language, so it's multi-platform. You can use it to develop for desktop, Android, iOS. I think, is it Android? There's no iOS, I'm not sure. You can use a framework like React Native, which is right here, and you can use a tool like Flutter. So my personal preference is Flutter. Not because it performs better, but it's just because I'm used to it. I'm used to Flutter, so that's why I prefer Flutter. Yeah, so they all have very detailed guide on how to install, but I have shown you a snippet of what that looks like on the written version. I've given you the steps on how to install Flutter, but you can just skim through it here. I keep typing the wrong domain. That is not the official Flutter domain. I don't know why I always type the wrong domain. My goodness. Flutter. Okay. This one. So I'll go to docs. Install Flutter. Thank you. All right, so you can go through the guide and install it. So this is for Flutter. If you want to develop with React Native, this is what you do. This is what you install. So let's go to get started. Installation. Where's installation? Yeah, I think it's here. So you can develop apps for web, TV, iOS, and Android. And these are the steps to installing React Native. So like I said, one tool might have advantages over the other. It's really up to you to do research and find out which tool is better. Flutter is, like I've said, I prefer Flutter because I've worked with it before. So I don't struggle much. So if you want to install Flutter, you can go to this guide. There are two options. You can install it using VS Code, or you can install it manually. I prefer manually because through this you get to learn the ins and outs of a framework. So again, you see why it was important to start with Git and Visual Studio Code. Once you're done, you can download the Flutter SDK, which is right here. Once you download it, you can proceed and create a folder for the SDK. You extract, you add the Flutter to path, up to the end. So this is how you confirm the installation has worked. Again, I'm not really taking you guys through this because one, I have already installed Flutter. Two, it's also important for you to experiment the unknowns. So you have to, for example, if you come to this command right here, you have to pay attention that they want you to replace this with your path. Now you ask yourself, okay, so what is a path exactly? What are environment variables on Windows and things like that. So ask yourself a lot of questions, or try to learn the unknowns as you try to go through these guides. So if you're also interested in Kotlin, you can go through the documentation, find out how to install and run Kotlin. So in my case, I've already installed Flutter and configured Flutter, so I can confirm that by doing Flutter version. And if you are having challenges in your code, or when you're trying to set everything up and you're having challenges, one command that will save you is this Flutter Doctor. So basically wait, what am I doing? It's not Flutter Doctor. Oh, huh? Okay, I have forgotten the command. So let me just go ahead and Flutter Doctor. Where is Flutter Doctor? Where is Doctor? Flutter. Oh, it's okay. Okay, it's minus the flag. I was adding the flag. So you can do Flutter Doctor. So what this will do, it will try and detect any missing configurations or anything you've not done that is required to make your Flutter work. So for now it says no issues, which is good. I'll go back to my code. So if you want to create a sample Flutter application, again, you can just use their guide. Let me scroll to the bottom. So Flutter version, that version, continue your Flutter journey. So we can set up a target platform, which you've already done. Learn the fundamentals. Let's try and see. Set up environment. Okay, they're not really showing the commands to create a sample application. So let me try this. No. Okay. Yeah, so this is actually normal when you're working with third-party tools or frameworks. You struggle a bit. All right. Anyway, so I have confirmed that Flutter is installed and there are no issues found. So after you've created your mobile application with Flutter and you want to run and see everything in the terminal, I think I need to get that tutorial because I need to get that tutorial. Where is it? Set up Android development. Set up Android emulator. Set up start developing for Android, learn fundamentals. No, not that. Build and deploy an Android. Let me see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so we might just go and find another tutorial. Set up Flutter app. All right, create new Flutter app. Let me see, terminal. All right. So finally, we have something. So navigate to desired directory. So assuming right here, we want to create a directory, mobile sample, cd mobile. All right. So once we are in the target directory, flutter create, enter project name, flutter create mt. So we want to use this one. So we'll say flutter create 8 hours mobile. All right, so we'll give it a second. It does its thing. It's not a valid dart package. Flutter create. Flutter create. Huh? I'm typing the same exact thing. Oh, it starts with 8. Okay, that is the problem. So we can write 8. Okay, yeah. So does not like that 8. Why did I even forget? All right, so once it's done, it tells you what to do here. So you're just going to do cd8 and then flutter run. Now once you do that, the command will try and find if you have any devices connected. As you have seen here, I already have this emulator connected here, so it's running okay. So we'll just give it a second. I don't know if you guys can hear my CPU. It's going crazy. The fan is spinning like hell. I think it's because of the load. I have VirtualBox. I have what? Quite a lot. Excuse me. Mm? All right. So okay. So while that is happening, let's try and okay, some progress I see. All right, and as you can see, it immediately launches in my emulator, and of course Flutter by default creates this sample application for you to play around with. So while you make changes to your app and it has crashed, oh my goodness, this stupid emulator. So now let's do the same, but let's try to run Soma stories. So let me use a different emulator. Let me okay, I need to close you. Android Studio. So let me use Pixel 10. Wait, close up. All right, so to run Flutter, to run Soma Stories mobile on a device, this is the command I used. So I'll just hit enter. Again, like I said, the web interface uses a different framework, which is Next.js. So there's just a difference between web and, mobile apps. While that is working, I'll take any questions. If anybody has a question, just the problem I have with YouTube is it delays the question. So you can send on Discord. You can send your questions on Discord or WhatsApp, whatever you prefer. So let me see, Discord. It takes quite a while. My goodness. Can I have a slice of bread? Yeah, weird enough. When I'm sick, I eat a lot. The lawyer in me. Why it taking ages? Okay, so it's taking ages because I've never installed it on this device. If I try on the other one, that will be faster. But let's just keep these one. And all right, so let's give it a second. We'll come back when it's done. Yeah, I was hoping to come back to good news, but there's still errors. Oh yeah, green means good. Green means yeah, and the application launches on my. Hmm. What happened? Why did you lose connection? I don't know why that keeps happening. Anyway, yeah, I think that marks the end of this class. It has been a bit short because I'm still healing from a very nasty cold, um, which I'm not even sure whether it's coming or going or it's stuck. So I have some. So we'll end it here for today. The live session will be available on YouTube for you to refer back to. Um, There's a written version on Summer Stories on my blog. I have shared the link. I'll also share the link on WhatsApp and on WhatsApp and Discord. Yes. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next week on Saturday. As we now dive deeper into mobile application. So we will build a simple mobile app now that we've already learned how to set up a development lab on our laptops. We will build a simple mobile application. If you have any ideas, just share. And then I'll have a feel of what really happens or what actually happens. I think that's it. I'll see you guys next Saturday. Good night. Oh, Eugene, where you can find the Discord link? Okay, on my profile, just go to YouTube. On my profile, there's a link because I don't think Discord worked very well last time here. All right, goodbye.